I encountered an otherworldly place where wet nurses are highly valued. In this country, healers hold a prestigious status and contribute significantly to the nation's expansion. Many healers gather at the Royal Healing Institute to study advanced healing magic, obtain licenses, and then pursue their individual paths. However, the protagonist, Genos, is an unlicensed wet nurse. Although he lacks a license, his healing skills are as strong as any licensed healer. He also adjusts his fees based on the patient's financial status, charging less to the poor and more to the wealthy. Today, he went out for a house call again. His young maid, Lily, said she would stay home to cook and wait for his return. Shortly after he left, several beautiful girls who were after Genos came to visit. Each harbored thoughts of monopolizing Genos, which led to arguments among them. Lily asked them to make themselves comfortable while she went to cook, adding a mysterious leaf to the soup that made it tastier. Everyone was waiting for Genos to return so they could have dinner together. Meanwhile, Lily remembered she hadn't brought in the laundry yet and asked the others to keep an eye on the cooking. Levi and Linga ended up sneakily sampling the soup. Seeing them enjoying it, Zofia was also drawn in. Outside, Lily finished collecting the laundry and lay down on the lawn for a rest. When she returned, she discovered that the meal had been completely eaten, and the three were blaming each other. Lily smiled disarmingly and asked how they planned to resolve this. The trio continued to feign ignorance and eventually had to admit their guilt, leading to another argument. Lily quickly intervened, warning them that Genos would be upset if they continued fighting. The three immediately behaved themselves and agreed to gather ingredients to help make another batch of soup. Just then, the ghost Camilla appeared and gave them a stern scolding. Fortunately, Lily stepped in to mediate, sending them off to gather ingredients. She wasn't very angry. After all, they could simply make more food. She enjoyed the time living together with everyone, and only hoped to have the meal ready before Genos returned. On his way back, Genos passed by a rabbit-eared girl who seemed to be in pain. Soon after, her master approached, revealing that the girl had gone to a healing institute because of stomach pain, but was turned away for lack of funds. Now, she was about to be punished by her master. The nobleman grabbed the rabbit-eared girl by the ears and took her to a cemetery. Unnoticed by her, a dark mist entered her body. Her master kicked and punched her, demanding she dig up valuable items. Unable to move from pain, the girl suddenly attacked her master, wounding his abdomen, forcing him to flee. He ran into Genos and explained that his slave had gone mad, asking for help. As the girl pursued them, the nobleman claimed he had only sent her to do some farm work before she changed. He said he needed to visit the healing institute and would pay Genos to stop the slave. As the girl charged, Genos pushed the nobleman aside and skillfully dodged a barrage of stones. Impressed, the nobleman urged Genos to deal with the slave, even suggesting he could just buy another if she were killed. However, Genos, being a healer, aimed to save lives. He dodged her attacks and even used a shield to deflect her, causing her to crash into a wall and collapse the structure on the nobleman. Controlled by the dark mist, the girl was in agony. Genos recognized the issue, allowed her to bite his arm, and then healed her. Her wounds healed instantly, and the dark spirit was expelled and purified by Genos. The nobleman crawled from the rubble, begging Genos to heal him. Genos mentioned his work for the day was done, and healing now would cost extra. The nobleman hastily offered a bag of gold coins, but Genos said it wasn't enough as he was an unlicensed healer, akin to a grave robber. The nobleman feigned ignorance, then Genos suggested using the slave as payment. Reluctantly, the nobleman agreed, and after being healed, he handed over the slave contract. Genos stayed to wait for the rabbit-eared girl named Tyr to wake up. Upon awakening, he instructed her to undress for a health check. Tyr hesitantly complied, and Genos, assessing her health without magic, diagnosed and removed a gallstone. Tyr knew such skill was not ordinary but decided not to betray her benefactor, instead offering to repay him. Genos had her lead him to a specific herb, which settled their debts. He then gave her the freedom to go wherever she wanted, tearing up the slave contract in front of her. Tyr, unsure where to go, decided to find her way and inform Mr. Genos later. They parted ways. Genos returned home alone. As soon as he entered, Zofia and the others returned with ingredients. Lily led everyone to cook, and Camilla popped up, questioning Genos about his day and noticing a new woman's scent on him. Genos stayed silent, helping Lily fill jars with herbs. Genos, a genius healer who could heal instantly, was shockingly kicked out of his team by former teammates. They called him over one day, gave him just a gold coin as severance, claiming that was more than he could ever earn in his lifetime. The team leader haughtily stated that people like them were no better than livestock and had no right to be his equals. Moreover, their team had already built a reputation. Genos wanted to explain that it was all his doing, but his teammates wouldn't listen. Just like that, he was ousted. Genos left quietly, but soon encountered a young girl nearly assaulted by a man who accidentally stabbed her while planning to sell her. Unable to ignore this, Genos used the gold coin to buy the girl's freedom and then healed her wounds instantly. The girl was shocked, but tearfully thanked Genos for saving her life. Both feeling abandoned, they decided to stick together. Genos told Lily, the girl, that he was self-taught in his healing craft and took her for a meal, though he could only afford to buy food for her as he was penniless and unsure how to care for her going forward. They needed to find work quickly. While at the restaurant, a man with a horrific arm wound walked in. Genos approached, promising a quick heal, and after performing his magic, the wound healed instantly. The man gratefully gave Genos several gold coins. Genos accepted and decided to open a healing clinic because Lily's simple "thank you" had felt profoundly satisfying. He wanted to earn more such gratitude. However, coming from the streets, he couldn't obtain a license and would have to operate without one, which Lily fully supported. Since Genos had bought her freedom, Lily insisted on staying with him, claiming he was now her master. Overwhelmed, Genos agreed to keep her by his side. Without a license, they couldn't openly set up in town, so Genos found a dilapidated house outside the city for them. Lily was frightened by the eerie place, fearing that such an atmosphere could attract demons, especially dread spirits, the apex of undead creatures that looked human and could steal life with a touch. Despite these fears, Genos courageously entered. Lily lit up the house with her light magic, revealing it to be in decent condition, even having a roof, a luxury compared to his days of sleeping outdoors with his former team. Suddenly, a dread spirit appeared, but Genos was unfazed, regretting only that the house was already occupied. The dread spirit attacked, but was quickly purified by Genos' magic. He had killed about 100 such creatures before, when a disgruntled teammate once abandoned him in the deepest levels of an underground labyrinth, where he learned that undead creatures fear healing magic. Although the dread spirit didn't vanish completely, Genos didn't want to destroy it. He proposed they coexist peacefully in the house. Unwilling at first, the spirit attacked again, but recoiled in fear when Genos raised his hand. It summoned its minions, which Genos eradicated with a powerful healing spell. The spirit, named Camilla, asked who Genos really was. He simply stated he was an unlicensed healer and reiterated his request to share the house, using just one room for healing and another to sleep. Given the situation, Camilla softened her stance and agreed to let them use the first floor, then flew off to the second floor. Afterward, Genos and Lily started cleaning the first floor of the house, but they had no visitors for a while. Lily decided to go out and promote their services. Just as she finished speaking, someone arrived. It was the man Genos had healed in the tavern. Genos had anticipated that people suffering from burns caused by magic guns weren't ordinary. They often had their own difficulties and couldn't seek treatment at regular clinics. The man needed treatment for his sister this time, whose arm was hit by a gun. Genos saw the wound and knew it was poisoned with a toxic effect, causing the bullet left inside to corrode the surrounding tissue. He had almost been captured to test such weapons before. Zofia, the sister, only cared about whether it could be healed. Genos said the hand was pretty much gone, and it would be best to amputate the arm before the poison spread further. Zofia was prepared for this and inquired about the cost. Genos boldly asked for $1 million, surprising Zofia, who was known in the slums as the leader of the lizard people and often robbed the rich to help the poor. She demanded a reason from Genos to justify such a price. Genos was straightforward. He wasn't planning just to cut off the arm. What good would it do if the arm couldn't regenerate? When Zofia heard that Genos could regenerate the arm, she was stunned. She had never heard of a healer who could do that. Genos was surprised too. What? Other healers couldn't do it? He had no formal education and wasn't aware of such common knowledge. He changed the subject, asking Zofia if she wanted the treatment. She was willing to try it. Genos pulled out a surgical knife conjured with magic, and every step he took was unheard of to Zofia and her brother. They watched as Genos cut off the arm, then used magic to reshape the bones, nerves, blood vessels, muscles, and skin. A new arm, regenerated before their eyes. Genos was exhausted. After all, He had worked hard to perfectly restore the arm. Zofia was both shocked and delighted. At that moment, Camilla popped out from the ceiling. Learning that she lived with Genos, the two adventurers were even more astonished. Zofia laughed heartily, appreciating the skilled and interesting healer. She said her people would also need Genos' services in the future, and of course, they would pay well. Genos' underground clinic gradually got on track, and Camilla was willing to sit down and talk peacefully with them. In the slums, 3 major non-human factions constantly clashed: the lizard people, the werewolves, and another. Genos hadn't finished speaking when someone else came knocking. This time it was a group of werewolves led by Linga, the leader of another major faction who managed the underground society's illegal gambling. The werewolves clearly came to make trouble. If Genos were eliminated, no one could heal Zofia's people. Linga swung a giant axe at Genos, who blocked it with a transparent protective shield and shattered her axe. This defense magic was also self-taught. Disbelieving, Linga ordered her subordinates to attack, but the werewolves couldn't harm Genos at all. With no other options, Linga ordered her men to tear down the clinic. Genos' kind warning was ineffective, so the werewolves called for Death Spirit Camilla, almost causing a disaster. Fortunately, Genos quickly intervened, reminding Camilla that the first floor was his territory. He appreciated that Camilla was willing to get angry for him, although the Death Spirit, somewhat tsundere, retorted a few words before silently returning to the second floor. Witnessing this, Linga no longer dared to attack Genos and immediately knelt to beg for mercy. It turned out that werewolves, being nocturnal creatures, instinctively feared higher-tier species like death spirits and vampires. Without doing much, Genos gained a bunch of new followers. The next day, the last major faction, the Half-Beasts, sent someone, but they wanted Genos to make a house call. Genos' unlicensed clinic had only been open for a month when it caught the attention of the leaders of the 3 major organizations. Today, a half-beast envoy came to request his personal services. The reason given was that lizardmen and werewolves frequently visited the clinic, so it was deemed too risky for their leader to come personally. Genos didn't buy these excuses and asked directly about the severity of their leader's condition. The half-beast admitted their leader was incapacitated. Hearing this, Genos dressed and followed the envoy to their territory. The leader, Levi, was seated on a throne, appearing normal. She revealed that she had become a celebrity in the underworld of the slums, with lizardmen and werewolves spreading her fame. Genos was sweating as Levi began to probe his intentions, stating she was currently immobilized and asking if he knew why. Genos approached and used magic to diagnose her, discovering a hard mass in her stomach that resembled a magic stone. Levi admitted it was indeed a powerful explosive magic stone that she had accidentally eaten, mistaking it for a rice ball. Genos was speechless, as such a situation typically didn't require his intervention. It would usually pass naturally. However, Levi mentioned she had accidentally bitten into it, risking an explosion soon. She feared her subordinates would refuse to leave her side, potentially leading to their annihilation. Given this, she planned to leave all her assets to Genos, who provided free care to children. She tossed him the key to her treasury. Moved by her gesture, Genos quickly took out a scalpel, made an incision in Levi's stomach, removed the magic stone, and instantaneously healed the wound. He also crushed the explosive stone with his bare hands, unharmed. Returning the key, he stated he only charged for his services. Levi greatly admired Genos' integrity and declared that he could seek their help with any future troubles. In just a month, Genos had won over the leaders of the 3 major powers in the slums. Zofia, Linga, and Levi each took turns visiting him on different days of the week. However, he was oblivious to their feelings for him. Lily was speechless, and Camilla bluntly stated that these women must have fallen for him. Genos doubted this, considering himself just an ordinary unlicensed therapist, a belief seemingly held only by himself. Camilla, a troublemaker, eagerly anticipated a rivalry over Genos, which he took as a joke. Days later, Zofia suddenly declared her intention to go to war, and hoped he would side with the lizardmen. Soon Linga and Levi also sought his allegiance, and they decided to fight it out on the weekend. The 3 forces gathered, and the leaders exchanged threats. Genos, accompanied by Lily, watched without any intention to intervene, knowing the long-standing grudges between them. They saw it as an opportunity to let off steam, and even presumptuously considered Genos the prize for the victor. A fierce battle ensued among the leaders, who were evenly matched, so they focused on defeating each other's followers. Genos couldn't just watch them fight to the death. He continuously treated the injured. In the end, there were no casualties, leading to an endless stalemate. Genos wanted to show them that if they maintained this hostile stance, such conflicts would never end. However, he didn't mind. No matter how severe their injuries, he was ready to treat them, happy to earn the medical fees. Why not, if it meant getting paid? The three leaders laughed heartily when they heard what Genos had to say. They all knew he was right, and they did enjoy the fight today, which seemed to have extinguished some of their previous animosities. From now on, their struggle would be among themselves, a competition for Genos. Lily didn't understand why Genos had to meddle in these affairs. It was because Genos' former master had taught him that healing wounds was third-rate, consoling hearts was second-rate, but rectifying the world was top-rate. So, even though he was a third-rate healer, he hoped to make the slums a better place. Moreover, these three factions were his regular customers. He couldn't afford to lose them over trivial matters. However, Lily knew that if their relationships improved, the fighting would decrease, and so would Genos' clients. How could she not be moved by such a gentle Genos? News of the non-humans ceasing their disputes in the slums quickly spread and caught the attention of high-ranking officials. The prosperity of their kingdom was maintained through a strict class system centered around the royal family, allowing citizens to vent their dissatisfaction on the poor, who in turn vented on other hostile races, maintaining balance. Now, the unity in the slums was problematic for them. This was considered a national security issue. The head of the Knights dispatched Deputy Commander Krishna to investigate who had managed to unite the three leaders. Meanwhile, Genos and the others were unaware of this. The three leaders still occasionally needed Genos' help with healing. Zofia had not been injured for a long time, but her recent injury was work-related. They had recently attracted the attention of the royal guards and had fought with them the previous day. Recalling that the last time her siblings were injured, it was also their arms. Genos wondered if it was caused by a fight with the royal guard. Zofia confirmed this. They had been discovered by the guards while sneaking into a noble's mansion, by none other than the deputy commander, known as the Iron Lady, who was cunning and ruthless. Camilla, always looking for amusement, joked that any woman would surely fall for Genos, but Genos didn't think so. Meanwhile, Lily prepared a lavish meal as everyone gathered together. At that time, an unwelcome visitor arrived in the slums, Deputy Commander Krishna. It had been a long time since she had been to the slums, and she noticed a significant change in the atmosphere. She tried to inquire from a lizard man what was going on, but he was too wary to talk to someone with unclear motives, especially since Genos had advised keeping a low profile. Unexpectedly, Krishna pulled out a gun and started threatening him, demanding to know who the mediator was. The lizard man chose death over betrayal. Just then, Zofia and her brother returned from Genos' house, and the lizard man quickly called out to his boss. Krishna immediately retreated and fled. She recognized the siblings and was puzzled as their arms, previously injured by her, seemed completely healed. What exactly was happening here? That evening, Krishna visited Genos' clinic, pretending to be lost and asking for directions back to the city. As Lily brought in tea, Krishna spotted her elven ears and immediately drew her gun, firing a shot at Genos. Genos had finally achieved a peaceful life when suddenly he was targeted by the guard corps. Krishna opened fire immediately upon arrival, mistaking Genos for a child kidnapper, as it was clear that he and the elf Lily could not be father and daughter. Lily quickly explained that Genos had rescued her, causing Krishna to sweat profusely, realizing her haste. Fortunately, Genos was unharmed, but how could a simple protection spell withstand her magic gun? Genos insisted that he used only a basic protective spell, leaving both of them incredulous. Krishna even suspected Genos was some reclusive grand mage, then introduced herself as the deputy commander of the guard corps, hoping Genos would assist her in investigating the arbiters, as helping the guard corps was a duty of all citizens. Hearing that she was looking for an arbiter, Camilla, who had been quietly observing, couldn't help but laugh. The higher-ups sought arbiters to prevent them from becoming too powerful. This person, capable of holding a place in the slums, was skilled at manipulating people, practically a devil's minion. Genos tried to argue that perhaps the person just preferred to keep a low profile. However, Krishna contended that such individuals could one day become leaders of anti-establishment groups, threatening the entire kingdom, and had to be stopped in their infancy. Even Lily couldn't listen anymore, stating that the person likely didn't have such grand ambitions and just didn't want anyone to get hurt in front of them. She appeared very familiar with the arbiter. Krishna then asked her if she knew the arbiter, but Lily quickly denied it. Genos didn't want to keep the deputy commander around any longer and politely made it clear she should leave. Unexpectedly, Krishna, seeing a bed in the living room, shamelessly asked to stay, claiming she had nowhere else to go and it would be convenient to observe the slum. Unable to find a reason to refuse, Genos reluctantly let her stay. This made Lily feel a renewed sense of crisis, and she intentionally displayed affection towards Genos in front of Krishna, though Krishna failed to notice her demonstration. Camilla quietly told Genos that Lily was jealous, but Genos showed no interest in these dynamics, letting Lily continue her affectionate gestures. Still, this wasn't enough for Lily, who took a page out of Camilla's book and held Genus's face, declaring he wouldn't be sleeping tonight. Then, turning around, she herself fell asleep soundly. Genus carried Lily to her room and returned to the living room to talk with Krishna. Besides investigating the arbiters, Krishna also had the responsibility to clear up a child trafficking case and asked Genus about the specifics of the incident. It appeared there was indeed illegal child trading happening in the city, which was why she had attacked Genus without questioning. Krishna then brought up another matter, asking if someone could perfect healing magic to fully regenerate an arm. She had grievously injured Zophia's arm in a previous encounter, and recently saw her in the slum with her arm completely healed. If there was such a healer in the slum, they must hold a prominent position and might even be connected to the arbiter. Krishna's acumen was sharp. Genus was curious why she despised the slums so much. It turned out her mother, a kind woman who often distributed food to the poor, was killed one day, supposedly by a criminal who wanted to steal her wedding ring. None of the impoverished people she had helped came to her aid. Since then, Krishna had resolved to become a flawless hero, determined to rid the slums of all criminals. Indeed, she had become the youngest deputy commander of the Guard Corps and was nicknamed the Iron Lady, a moniker that mocked her rigid, unyielding nature, but also hinted at her mask-like, unsmiling face. Early the next morning, Krishna temporarily left. After hearing her words last night, Genus felt conflicted but continued with his usual duties. Just after healing Zofia, Krishna suddenly burst back in. Both immediately took defensive stances, and the atmosphere turned tense. Krishna directly asked about Zofia's arm, suspecting that the person who healed her was likely an arbiter, someone who could unite dangerous figures in the slums and threaten the peace of ordinary citizens. Zofia scoffed. She knew the Guard Corps was investigating a case of illegal child trafficking, and asked Krishna if she knew that the instigators were actually nobles. These people, to hide evidence, had dispersed their underlings, especially into the slums. Unfortunately, Krishna didn't believe her because the person Zofia described was known as a philanthropist. Frustrated with such foolishness, Zofia noted that they only judge by appearances, unlike arbiters who do not judge by status and only aim to save lives in front of them. Unlike Krishna, who sees all commoners as criminals, Krishna's so-called justice was nothing but a facade. Although Krishna was surprised, she didn't attack Genus immediately but said she would find another place to stay. Before leaving, she declared, "I am definitely not a fake." After leaving Genus's house, she went straight to the noble mentioned by Zofia, using the pretext of reminding the nobles to guard against thieves to check the estate's security measures. The noble personally showed Krishna around. The security was strict, though unevenly deployed. Realizing something was off, Krishna excused herself to use the restroom. Considering his status, the noble had too many guards, especially more at the back door compared to the front. Indeed, she discovered a well in the courtyard, which led to a dungeon holding many children. Before Krishna could release the children, she was shot from behind. The noble, having suspected her, attacked her with a Guard Corps magic gun. Krishna had surrendered her weapons upon entering, leaving her defenseless. At the critical moment, Zofia and Genus came to her rescue. With his invincible defense, Genus was unharmed by the magic gun and approached the noble, who was frightened into falling down. Genus picked up the magic gun and, ignoring the noble's pleas and apologies, shot him in the forehead. The noble's fancy clothes burst open, and he was thrown aside naked. Genus had not intended to kill. He had disabled the gun's lethal capability beforehand, as it wasn't his place to mete out punishment. He then checked Krishna's injuries. Her arm was broken, and she had severe abdominal injuries. But for Genus, these were easy to heal. He quickly performed a miraculous healing technique to fully restore Krishna. Krishna was thoroughly humbled and admitted that Zofia was right. She was not a hero, but Genus was a true, flawless hero. Together, they rescued the children. Hearing that the Guard Corps was approaching, it was time for Genus and the others, who operated in the shadows, to retreat. Before leaving, he reminded Krishna not to forget to pay for her lodging and medical treatment,